Hi. The problem that we're addressing is the problem with access to health care here in the U.S. So there are communities that have problems with shortages of doctors, and they have to travel long distances just to get to an appointment. So there are, of course, alternative clinics now and telemedicine, and that's helping with the access. But we want to take that a step further and make it so that we could provide the actual medical testing results and diagnosis all within 1 hour after a patient gets to a clinic. And this is how that would work. So you take a finger stick of blood, the blood gets put onto our medical device, runs the test, we'll have a customized app that'll read the results, and then send that to the cloud for secure storage. And if a physician isn't on hand, then we'll also offer a teleconsult. And this is our device. We have 3 main components. We have a blood purification device. Then we have our proprietary medical test cartridge, which will contain individual single-use tests, and they will have our chemistry on them. And then the third component, of course, is the app. And this is a very portable device that actually fits in the palm of your hand. These are our product features, and we feel that we have key differentiators from our competitors, some of which are that we have on our card, we're able to run 5 tests all at the same time from the single sample. And our novel chemistry will make it so that we can run a broad range of types of tests, so that tests our competitors are running, we can go beyond that. We can do not just antibodies and proteins, but also DNA, RNA testing. The market is huge for point of care or on-site testing, as you know. We're looking initially to market to the sub-segment of the underserved community, but we could also use our device anywhere. It could be used in other office clinics. It could be used for healthcare, disaster relief. It can be used for in-home caregivers, nursing homes. And we have to do FDA approval, so we plan to launch our first panel in Q4 of 2021, and then a second panel in 2023. All of our tests will have CPT codes. We're asking $1 million. That's to get through the work to get us to the clinical trial. We've bootstrapped the company so far, and this is what we've accomplished. And our exit strategy is strategic acquisition. This is our team. We have 40+ years of experience working in developing medical device products. And we also have advisors through the Brink and Myriad Innovation Center and strategic partners helping us. Thank you.
Listening to me today and listening to all of my fellow startups here in San Diego. So I'm with Case by Case. I'm Director of Operations. My name's Michael May. And what Case by Case is we're the revolutionary, groundbreaking cell phone case company. I'm going to change the way all of you think and view and use your cell phone case. Before I do that, I want to talk about the market in general. We're talking about a $70+ billion market today that is expected to grow between 120 and 150 million by 2022. That being said, it's a big convoluted mess of accessories, attachments, nothing's conjoining, nothing works together, and there's actually no dominant player. There are some big dogs, don't get me wrong, but no one owns the marketplace, and that's where we're gonna change it. It's gonna start with our base case, which actually won us an Innovation Award nominee at CES, the only company without a single electronical component to do it, and here it is, Case by Case. The CXC is not only our logo, it's how everything works with the phone. Most basic feature, I can kick one of these down and use it as a pop socket. I can kick 2 down, use it as a kickstand. I fold them back, I'm a jean guy, it still slides flush in my pocket, and it allows for wireless charging. Now, all our attachments are gonna be based around the CXC2, whether it's magnetic or tension locks, and I'm gonna show you those coming up here right now. So when we came to our accessories, we focused on what we call the 3 Ps, power, protection, and purpose. It starts with power. Power banks, they slap right on the back. If your phone is a wireless charging phone, it charges through the case. If you have an iPhone 6 and 7, for instance, where your phone doesn't allow for wireless charging, which this battery would be, older model Samsung, I plug it in here, here's an iPhone, and now I'm charging. Beautiful thing is with my iPhone, if Misty happens to be Samsung and her battery's running low, I can take off my battery, hand it to her, she can use it on her Samsung. All our accessories are gonna work across the board, except for something like this folio wallet, which is Purpose, which is cut specifically to your phone. Now I get into the protection. We have several layers. Base case, obviously number one, screen protectors to protect the glass in the front. I also have slim bumpers, which is a silicone material that'll slide around the phone. And of course our big buoyant bumper, which floats. I'm a boater. I've lost a couple of my phones in the Pacific. It's great. They're waterproof. They sink like a brick. Guess what? Coast Guard orange, it's floating. It's going to get me, or I'm going to find it whenever it goes over the water. I have a whole line of accessories, which you can see right down on the bottom. And again, they all work conjointly across the board. We're manufactured in China, 3PL shipment. We have a secondary factory vetted in Mexico. Our gross profit margin is 85%, 69 in retail outlets. We're projecting $163 million in revenue at 2022, and that's only with 1 million customers, which I think we can beat. Here's a sample of companies in our space that sold. It's more than $1 billion in sales in the last 5 years alone. And in summary, we know that 3-to-1 is our ratio for case to customer on their first purchase. That's $183 first purchase. Life cycle of a customer is going to be repurchase their phone 30 months in the US. I'm going to sell them the 3 SKUs, the case, the slim bumper, the protection. And thank you for your time.
I'd like everyone to think about someone that they love and care about and ask yourself what you're willing to do in a time of need. I want you to ask yourself what you would do if you're not able to be there for them, how you'd be notified, how you'd stay up to date, and how do you ensure that they're receiving the best possible resources necessary for their care. Family Proud is a mobile application that helps bring that peace of mind by connecting patients and families to each other and to the resources critical for their care. Several years ago, I was deployed with the Navy thousands of miles away from home when I was notified that my mother had been admitted to the hospital for a heart attack, and there's nothing that I could do. After that gut-sinking feeling settled in, I began to ask myself those same tough questions and recognize there's immense issues in resource alignment and the ability to support remotely. My co-founder, Clay, spent nearly 2 years of his life in the hospital as a 2-time cancer survivor, and together we've identified tremendous gaps in patient care. With over $3 trillion spent in healthcare annually, with the average cost per person over $10,000, the majority of families are one health crisis away from financial burden. Family Proud looks to identify the issue that there's no easy, affordable, sustainable support model with existing healthcare. It allows the family to invite their loved ones in, providing a clear and private way to communicate with one another, the peer-to-peer capability that allows them to connect with families that truly do understand their specific hardship, and a calendar that helps streamline those tasks and issues during their specific crisis, and a registry similar to a wedding registry that allows them to clearly communicate specific products and services necessary through their care. And it's not a question whether individuals are looking to support one another, as 1 in 3 GoFundMe sites are for medical donations, and they've raised over $5 billion since 2010 as a San Diego company. Not only does Family Proud help families, but they also help healthcare systems by demonstrating cost savings through patient satisfaction and patient care navigation metrics. We're currently focused on the San Diego veteran market, specifically with oncology, but recognize the impact of patient care as a whole. Our business model is based on a B2C transaction fees associated with that care registry, along with a B2B with the cost savings through a subscription model paid by the healthcare centers. My name is Jane Risner, CEO and co-founder, Naval Academy alum, helicopter pilot, and radio MBA. Clay himself, also Wounded Warrior, fellow radio MBA and Ironman, and Cesar Molina, also wonderful members of our team. Family Proud remains mission focused, and we recognize that there's thousands of families right now that could use Family Proud to help them through their time of need. We invite you to join our family, and thank you for your support.
Hi everyone, my name is Ana Moreno, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Navega Therapeutics, where we are tackling the opioid epidemic with our patented gene therapy for chronic pain. There are more people in the US suffering from chronic pain than cancer, diabetes, and heart disease combined, with 1 in every 3 Americans suffering from chronic pain. And the current treatments consist mostly of opioid narcotics. These, however, have failed us. In the past decade, we've seen a 300% increase in opioid prescriptions without any change in reported pain. Every 1 in 4 people that are prescribed opioids becomes addicted. This has caused a huge economic burden. And sadly, over 120 Americans die each day of opioid overuse. We are in dire need of a new treatment for chronic pain. That's why we've developed a highly specific, non-addictive, long-lasting pain gene therapy. So how does it work? There are human beings that have a mutation in their genome that feel no pain whatsoever. So we were inspired by this. And we applied this therapy in vivo in mice. And we've demonstrated that the mice that receive our therapy not only have higher pain tolerance, they also have lower pain levels. Obviously, there are other competitors out there looking at the same gene target. These, however, utilize either small molecules or antibodies. But small molecules are highly unspecific. They go everywhere, and they come with a lot of side effects. Antibodies, on the other hand, can be highly specific, but they usually lack potency and are not as long-lasting as us. This is where our competitive advantage comes in. As you can imagine, there's a huge market opportunity, $155 billion of chronic pain in the US. We're looking at inflammatory chronic pain because we validated this with our mice. We believe that our early adopters would be the people actually that have morphine catheters inserted into their spinal cord. These are people that take over 40 kilograms of morphine a year, and that's a $600 million market. In our corporate development, we're currently looking for seed fundraising, specifically through friends and family round, as well as angel investment. What this would get us is actually get us into our incubator space at J Labs, so we can actually start hiring staff and working on this therapy. In cardiac traction, we have 2 patents licensed through UCSD, where I'm a co-inventor. We have non-dilutive funding through pitch competitions that are over $106,000. We've been part of 2 incubators at UCSD, My Startup XX, as well as IGE, not listed up here. And as I mentioned, we are accepted into J Lab's incubator, which we are really happy about. We have a great team. I'm a PhD candidate at UCSD, graduating in March in bioengineering. Dr. Prashant Mali, co-founder, is an expert in gene therapy out of Harvard. Dr. Fernando Alemán brings years of experience in molecular biology, has been a postdoc at Scripps and UCSD. Dr. Tony Yaksh, pain specialist, he's actually advisor for the NIH in the opioid epidemic. And lastly, Randy Woods, our business advisor. He's a CEO right now of Syphilis and a serial entrepreneur. Thank you for your time.
So my name is Kenny Key. I'm the COO of LeoLens Technology. LeoLens is focused on commercializing a drug-eluting, comfort-enhancing contact lens to treat millions of Americans. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the problem our team is working on, our patented solution, our current pipeline, and our plan for going after a $10 billion US market. There's currently a huge opportunity in the ophthalmic space. With dry eye and glaucoma alone, there's a $5 billion addressable market in the US. Of that addressable market, we've targeted a subset of 300,000 patients that we could attack after 5 years of product launch. That would represent a $500 million a year revenue opportunity. The reason there's such a huge opportunity is there's a big issue with ophthalmic drug delivery. Currently, eye drops have been on the market for over 40 years, yet they remain the standard of care for over 90% of patients, despite a compliance rate of only 50%. This leads millions to suffer from disease progression and thousands to suffer from avoidable blindness. Alternative treatment options are invasive and very expensive. Thus, there's a large unmet need for a better, non-invasive treatment option. Others who are attempting contact lens delivery technologies suffer from the fact that they require de novo lens material. This complicates the regulatory process and requires new manufacturing processes that are expensive and unlikely to scale. Thus, we have a competitive advantage as we have a platform technology that harnesses the power of digital printing to turn current contact lens, FDA-approved contact lenses into sustained drug delivery systems. We currently have 4 patents for a proprietary ink chemistry and printing process that allows us to incorporate various active pharmaceutical ingredients or drugs into a coating on a contact lens. That's a printable coating we can print onto the surface of a lens. And as you can see here, we can build different barrier layers on top of that to control the rate of the diffusion of the drug from the lens for up to a week. This is an example of a pharmacodynamic study we conducted in rabbits with our product. The blue line, we were measuring intraocular pressure, which is an indicator for glaucoma. The blue line were those that were treated with our lens. As you can see, their IOP remained lowered for the full 7 days, which shows our ability to release a therapeutically effective amount for that period. We currently have a product pipeline for glaucoma, dry eye, and other ocular indications, and our focus is on our glaucoma product, and we recently had a successful pre-IND meeting. We are currently raising funds for our IND submission and to run our phase 2 study, and we could have our first in-human data in the next 6 months. We have a great team with over 150 years experience in drug development, approval, and commercialization, and a great advisory team that has run a number of successful clinical trials. In summary, we have over $6.5 million in non-dilutive funding that allowed us to create a value proposition for 4 key stakeholder groups. Most notably for patients, we offer a better, safer treatment option that is at the price point comparative to current eye drop prescriptions. Thank you.
I grew up in New York City where I couldn't tell a cow from a cauliflower. But I moved out to San Diego about 30 years ago and joined head of molecular biology at an ag biotech company. And I've fallen in love with agricultural biotechnology ever since. I stumbled across this opportunity about 3 years ago and started a company around it based on the idea that genome editing will make this much more socially acceptable and technically achievable. The problem that we're addressing is short shelf life of produce. Consumers demand fresh food, and there's an enormous amount of wastage. We lose about 1/3 of all the food we make. It's over 1.3 billion tons per year to disease and natural aging. In some crops, it's as high as 70% in certain fruits and vegetables. That accounts for about $1 trillion a year in food loss in agriculture, about 70% in the developed world, about 30% in emerging countries. So the big idea behind the founding of Agribody is our customers are innovative seed companies. They're not end user consumers. These seed companies are dissatisfied with current approaches to improving shelf life. And this is the key point. Our technology uses genome editing to increase shelf life by 2 or 3-fold in fruits, vegetables, and flowers. We also provide farmers with higher yields and tolerance to abiotic stress, like drought, high temperature, lack of nutrients. It's protected by 16 issued US patents. We filed a utility patent last month on genome editing. We've been licensed a new method for CRISPR that gets around the patent battles. And most importantly, we validated these targets in field trials. So it's not a science project. We've actually shown in large-scale field trials that the targets are accurate. And by doing genome editing, we avoid the GMO controversies. The switch involves 2 genes. And the idea my co-founder found was that if you reduce the amount of one of those genes, very good things happen. You get, at the same time, you get increased yields, higher shelf life of products. We get increased biomass of the vegetative and seed parts of the plant, and also we get tolerance to abiotic stress and some disease. So now we're doing this using genome editing instead of antisense. Some data on tomatoes and bananas. These remind me of Costco bananas. You probably had the same experience, and with our bananas, they stay green longer. Same thing with carnations. We're now working on roses. We spun off a subsidiary to do the same thing with roses. We have a great team. I've assembled 4 really excellent colleagues and a board of advisors and consultants, including my old boss, Jerry Calder, who's the father of ag biotech. So between the 11 of us, we have about 250 years of directly relevant experience. Our model is based on licensing and co-development. We're looking to do 8 deals a year with seed companies. We get money from licenses and co-development. Our traction is quite good. We've inherited 2 deals with Monsanto and an Israeli company. We've in-licensed CRISPR 3.0, so we can give our customers freedom to operate all the way through to final products. And we're going to make money. And I'm driving around town with this license plate, so this company can't fail.